Have you ever been approached like this, especially for people in your same race as you? I can't serve your God because your God is the white man God. They used the Bible when they was hanging us, when they was skinning us, when they was dragging us with their cars. So I can't serve your God because your God is the white man God. That's what we're talking about today.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord that I wake again. I wake again. I pray the Lord that I.
What's going on, Outcast? This is Felicia here, and today we're talking about, do black people serve a white man's God? And this, if I have a white, more Caucasian followers right now, this is actually not for you, but I'm speaking to my people. And I run into that a lot of times, when it comes to Christianity. And a lot of black people have left the faith or have never believed, period, because they actually feel and they have this belief that because somebody used a book while they were hanging us and quoting scriptures, that's the white man's God, and they gave you that to control you. I'm hearing that a whole lot. So this video is not for my Caucasians. This video is for my people here. And the first thing I don't do, and I used to do it when I first got saved, and it really exhausts you and it really creates enemies. And because before we really knew or actually got the notion of belief in God, we were black, we were white, you were male, you were female. So I say peace above everything. I actually have Muslim friends, and we don't try to convince or each other, about who God is right, which God is right. Listen, I believe in something, and you believe in your own things. And guess what? The one thing that we all have that's God-given is a choice. That's one of the reasons why I believe that there is a heaven and hell. And depending on what choices you choose, either send you up or down. Same thing in earth. Depending on what choices you choose can make you rich or poor, can make you free, or can make you an inmate. So I really don't do the whole notion thing about getting into it with people about religion. And if you don't believe, hey, it's on you, no problem. The only thing I'm commanded to do as a believer is love you. That's the only thing. You get what I'm saying? So, but I hear a lot of my people say, listen, I can't believe in the God that you serve because you serve in white man God. I have family like that. They're really, really on this black and white thing, and not recognizing, not realizing who is in the Bible and what's in the Bible. I do have this notion, I do agree that back then a lot of white slave masters were using the Bible out of context, doing something that goes completely against what's in the book. Now, was there slavery before the 400 years that blacks have been enslaved? Absolutely. You see the division on race. It was almost like the beginning of time. Because you know why? Because when it came to mankind, this all came under the nature of sin. We always struggle with race and class and gender. You see that all through history, even before it came to when the white man had control of the 400 years that has been passed down in the slavery sense. We were enslaving each other. There were Jewish people who were enslaving other Jews. You get what I'm saying? But the question, do black people serve a white God? Because in scripture, my Bible tells me that Moses married a woman that was a Cushite. Cush means burnt. And it was so bad in a race sense that his brother and his sister, Moses' brother and sister, Miriam and Aaron, spoke against Moses because he married a black woman. You know what God did to both brother and sister, Miriam and Aaron? He cursed them of leprosy. That's how they died, and they were not allowed in the promised land. My Bible tells me that Daniel and John had a revelation of who God looked like in the latter days, and actually in the days he walked the earth. Hair like wool. I'm not saying he was African American. Not at that point. Skin, the color of bronze. So whatever the white man, slave master back in that day, did to us, he didn't want us to read certain things in the Bible because we would have an identity. And I want the believers, because there's a lot of believers I actually know personally and who are viewing this video that might have a bias against other Jews and maybe other white people. Guess what? The reality is you can't be a racist and go to heaven. This Bible that we believe in is multicultural. There will be black people in heaven. There will be white people in heaven. There will be Chinese people in heaven. I got to get you to understand that. It's going to be so much different from earth. It's going to be how earth was intended to be. You cannot be a racist and think you're going to heaven. There's a scripture in the Bible that says there is a way that seems right to a man. Back then, in those days, it seemed right to hang people just simply by the color of their skin. But in the end, when you close your eyes, if you didn't do it according to this book and love like you should have loved, you're going to wake up to destruction. There is no doubt that racism plays no part in heaven. So if you don't like white people, you don't like black people, guess what? You're going to be rudely awakening that there's going to be blacks and whites and Chinese and Arabics and whatever else that are believers who are in heaven. This is not a white man's Bible. A white man, especially a racist white man, I should say, won't write that God had hair like wool. He won't write that God had skin color. Jesus was darker than I was. And because of our self-awareness and our self-centeredness and the hardness of our hearts, we paint these pictures of how Jesus looked like. No, the Bible tells you what Jesus looked like exactly. Coming from two prophets, one at the very end of the Bible and one right at the Old Testament, going closer to the New Testament, the prophet Daniel and the prophet John. So if Moses married a black woman, what kind of babies did they have? And if we go before Moses, the earth and the people who dwelled in it was only one. It was one language, one color, and God himself dismantled it. When you read the Tower of Babylon, it's amazing, and there's so much depth and knowledge in it. But you have to be a believer to believe in this. I mean, there's no other way. I'm not going to go back and forth with you here. You know what I mean? So, because I just believe in peace above everything. So if you can just take little bits and pieces of what you want to believe, then you honestly haven't believed. And don't get me wrong, especially people who are new to the faith, it takes a while to actually get, to believe and actually get to a good understanding. That's the reason why you have to be in a good Bible-based church. And because of the society that we live in, the world that we live in, and we see race, and it's so hard not to, be Black Panther or white power, because we see so much division based on color that sometimes it gets in us and we want to act out based on who we stand for on the color of our skin. And let me ask you a question. With all that Jesus has done, period, what salvation stood for, the question I have for you is, does it matter what color skin he is? If he loved every single body and every single person, and he paid off debt that we could not pay off, does it matter? Because even if Jesus in the Bible was described as a white male, what Jesus said and what the white supremacist has done to us as black people when they hung us, when they skinned us, goes against what he said in the book. And if that's their God and they went against what God said in the first place, and they only took certain scriptures that complimented them, even though they took it out of content, do you really believe that these people are in paradise right now? They're in the presence of God? There's the last final scripture, and I'm going to close this message out. It says, how can you love God? How can you say you love God? Matter of fact, let me get the exact, and I'm going to read this out the King James Version. Let me get the exact message exactly what it says in scripture. Check this out. 1 John 4 verse 20. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he have not seen? I really want you guys to think about that, because if you haven't seen God, but you read how he manifested himself in the earth, and what color skin he was, and everything that he said about love, for God to love the world and all this other stuff, how can you hate someone for the simple color of their skin? That's like me hating you for being born in the 80s, as if you can control what year you came on this planet. Racism is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It really is. Me loving you based on something that you couldn't control. You just came on earth and all of a sudden you already had 3 strikes. So does black people serve the white God? Absolutely not. We have identity, we have footprints, we are all in the Bible. Don't let racism be one of the reasons why you simply don't make it to heaven. God is love. Christianity is not bondage, but it's the ultimate freedom. I'll see you next time.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord that I wake again. I wake again. I pray the Lord that I lay me